Hello, Callsign Latrobe here, and I have another walkthrough video for you, but this one is slightly different. In this video, I'm going to specifically cover decision making. In a dogfight, you are making lots of decisions. Which way should I turn? Should I climb or dive? Which plane should I target first? That kind of stuff. This is very obvious, but if you're new to aerial combat, then perhaps you don't yet realize just how many decisions are made during a fight, or just how quickly those decisions are made. It's not like some games where you can sit back, look at the situation, look at the options you have, and plan your actions accordingly. No, in a dogfight, you have to view the situation, go over your options, and make a decision all in a few seconds. You have to be able to react purely on instinct. The only way to be able to react on this kind of level is to simply fight it out and learn from experience. Eventually, you will start to recognize situations and know instinctively what to do. I'm going to show you here all of the decisions I made during a fight, and how quickly I made them. Here I see a 190 roughly co-out with me. I check the dar bars on my map, and I can visually see some other aircraft upping off of their base, and I'm going to be dealing with them alone. So I decide I want to get as much altitude as I can and get above these guys. I'm planning my merge options based on what the 190 does, but he doesn't appear to see me yet. So I make the first move and start turning for his 6. I'm putting my nose above and behind the 190 because I want to keep gaining altitude and get on his 6 before I start shooting. As I check on their base, I see a co-alt K-84 and low Spitfire. Now I must decide who is the bigger threat here and go for them first. The 190 is turning in for me now, and the KI and Spit are still 3K away, so I go for the 190 and try to kill him and make this a 2-on-1 instead of a 3-on-1. The 190 dives, and I want the altitude advantage, so I break off him and target the K-84, who has the altitude advantage. If I get below these guys, then my job is going to become substantially harder. If I have the altitude, then I can pick out the biggest threat and deal with them one at a time. The K-84 sneaks below me, and I'm wondering if I should try for a shot in the Spitfire here. I choose the K-84 because he has more altitude, making him a bigger threat. This Spitfire is still burning off his E, just trying to get up to me. The K-84 goes into a dive. This lets me climb and gain the altitude advantage. Now I switch my attention to the 190, who's making a pass on me. I continue climbing, knowing the 190 probably won't be able to climb to me. The 190 does not have the speed to get up to me, so now I have achieved the altitude advantage. Now I'm looking for the biggest threat. The K-84 is nearly co-out with me and has the most altitude, so he's a big threat, but there's a 190 with a lot of speed making a run for me, making him just as big of a threat. I decide I'm going to go vertical and try to rope them both. I position myself slightly off to their side instead of going head-on, so if they try for a shot, then neither of them will hit me. They both miss their shot, but neither of them follow me up, so I continue to climb to gain altitude and look for the next biggest threat. I'm in a good position to drop in on this other 190, so that's exactly what I'll do. I drop down on the 190 and start to give chase and line up my shot. He starts to turn right, giving me a nice profile to shoot at, but then he dives away, ruining my shot opportunity. I don't want to give up my altitude advantage yet, so I break off and focus on the other 190 making a pass on me. I position off to his side so he can't get a head-on shot on me. I avoid the head-on pass from the 190 and start a climbing turn back into the fight. As I'm looking around, I see a P-51 higher than me. He's a huge threat, so I must deal with him first. My initial thought is the P-51 will pass by and use his speed to climb away, allowing me to climb and eventually neutralize his altitude advantage. I slowly turn into him, waiting to see if he'll climb or turn. I see him turn into me, so I tighten my turn to get inside his turn, denying him a shot. Now I'm suspicious of this pony, so I watch him to see if he dives away or turns in for the fight. To my surprise, he once again turns aggressively for me. I can tell his 51 pilot knows what he is doing, but I want to drag him closer to this 190 so I can deal with the two of them a lot easier. I start my turn into the 51 to avoid his shot, but I execute it very poorly. The 51 is a decent shot, so I take a bit of a beating here. I should have gone into a diving turn into him and then pulled up into the vertical as he got into gun range. Taking a quick look at what went wrong there, we can see horizontally I did pretty well. My goal is to get the P-51 from my 6 o'clock to more towards my 3 o'clock. This will increase the closure rate and make forcing the overshoot easier. I create that problem for the P-51, but it's very late in my turn as he is just getting to gun range. The reason for this is because I pull a right-hand turn into the 190 so he can't get a shot. In hindsight, a left-hand turn into the 51 would have been a better choice, as the 190 was never going to climb to my altitude. Still, a right-hand turn still would have worked if I dove down below the P-51 as well. This would force the P-51 to dive as well, pick up more speed, and increase the closure rate even more, therefore giving him even less time to shoot at me. Going vertical just as he gets to gun range will force him to reposition to get a shot on me, but the closure rate would be so high and he'd have so little time to react that he simply would not be able to do so and would overshoot. Now I realize the pony is actually a really decent fighter, so I have to be more aggressive against him and kill him quickly. I pull hard into him, ignoring trying to keep an altitude advantage, and just focus on killing the pony fast. I damage him and pull up to regain some altitude. I see a 190 coming in, and I'm trying to decide if going for him is a good idea. It looks like the pony wants to keep fighting, so I target him first, as he's a pretty good shot and I don't want him shooting me again. I climb hoping to rope the 51 and 190 at the same time. 51 doesn't bite, but the 190 does. So I start positioning myself above and behind the 190. Then I kick right rudder, wing over, drop down on him, and put a good burst into him. I see a shot opportunity on the pony, so I switch my attention to him. I do some more damage to him and then switch back to the 190. I go into a climb hoping to rope one of these guys, and it looks like the Spitfire does take the bait. I know he doesn't have the speed to climb to me, and it'd be nice to knock one of these guys out of the fight, so I roll over and start my attack run on the Spitfire. Just as I guessed, the Spitfire couldn't climb to me, and I could finally put one of them down. And now I climb to regain my altitude. I take this time to look around and check on all the other targets and try to determine which of them might be the biggest threat to me. However, these two 190s are the only two targets left out here. I'm thinking of which of these 190s is it best to go for. The one on my 12 o'clock pulls into a climbing turn which will make him a nice target for me, so I choose to go for him. The other 190 is still below me and will have to burn a lot of E in a turn to try and get to me, so I'm not too worried about him. Unfortunately, I missed my shot badly. I'm planning to go vertical for the second 190, but he's still 2.5k away, and the other 190 looks like he's not going to dive away, so I decide to try for him again. I get some hits and he still doesn't dive away, so I line up my shot and make sure to finish him. Now the other 190 is bound to be coming for me by now, so I climb and turn into him. I know this guy doesn't have a lot of speed, and I still hold a small altitude advantage over him. So my plan is to go into the vertical and merge, hoping he'll follow me up. Then I can burn the rest of his speed off and kill him as he stalls out. I climb using my superior climbing ability and slow speed handling against him. Roll over the top into him, line up my shot, and finish him off. And finally there's no enemy airplanes left and I can start to return to base. And that brings an end to this walkthrough. We can see I made 26 major decisions during a fight that only lasted 6.5 minutes. Hopefully now you have a better idea of how quickly you have to make decisions in a fight. Be sure to keep practicing and I'll see you in the skies.